Well, we're back again with a oldie but goodie. This this sim right here, or it's not really a sim, I guess. This game um, was the first game that I ever ran with a steering wheel. Now I played the original Indianapolis 500 back in '89 or whenever that came out, and Papyrus's IndyCar, which came out in '93, and then the first NASCAR, which came out in '94. Um, but I used either a keyboard or joystick. I didn't have a steering wheel at the time, and then I must have saved up my pennies and got a steering wheel. And this exact track and this exact game was the first time I ever ran a racing game with a steering wheel. And I don't even remember what the steering wheel was. I think it was that old Thrustmaster that had the NASCAR Thrustmaster or something. I don't even remember, to be honest with you. But this was the first game, and then obviously I used it on NASCAR and the Papyrus sim and all that, but the IndyCar sim. But this was the first one, so it's a lot of memories there with running that. And if I remember correctly, it was around the same time that I got a good joystick. I think the I think it was the Flight Stick Pro or something they called it back then. And I played this game and Red Baron, like, constantly. It was just between this game and then with the steering wheel and the Red Baron with a good joystick. And that was pretty much gaming nirvana for me in '95. I mean, I know Red Baron came out way before that, but yeah, that was as good as it got back then. I don't even remember, Pentium 90 maybe, or maybe a Pentium 100 by then, but I'm pretty sure it was a Pentium 90. But anyways, that was my first, or this was my first steering wheel game right here. And I mean, I had a heck of a time getting this thing working on Windows 10 and recording it and getting any kind of sound or anything like that. But you definitely can't call them sims. I mean, it was just an arcade racer, but I still had fun with it. I don't know why, but I always ran this. I hardly ever ran the other tracks on here. It was always this track. Maybe because it was so easy, or I don't know, but I remember running lap after lap after lap on this track, trying to get the fastest lap time. And it's kind of funny now, we have games that are 5,000 times more accurate as far as physics and graphics and tire models and just everything, steering wheels with force feedback and VR headsets and yada yada yada. But and granted, I mean, the immersion is second to none now compared to back then, but still these games are as fun, especially back then. They're as fun as any fun I have now on a sim. I just feel like I'm more immersed now, but the fun factor hasn't changed. And even when I was just playing this now, recording this, I still having fun. I mean, I had a big old smile on my face, I'm sure, just because of the memories, or thinking back of that first steering wheel and getting it hooked up and getting it calibrated and running this thing, and just my jaw dropping, thinking, how awesome is this? It can't get any better. But look where we're at now. It gets better. But and just speaking of the VR, I did a little video, last video, a little bit on the VR. I got messing around with that super sampling. I'm not sure how many people mess around with that. You have to have a beefy graphics card, and like I said, I have a 1080 Ti in there, and I got messing around with the super sampling on that, and well, I got that thing set at 1.8, on the super sampling, and it made a world of difference. I mean, and it still runs a steady 90 frames per second. But I mean, I knew about the super sampling, but everybody said that, you know, if you go much past the, you know, like 1, like if you go from a 1 to a 1.5, it's like putting double the strain on your graphics card, and if you go from 1.5 to 2.0, it's like 4 times the strain on your graphics card. And I mean, I know 1080 Ti is fast, but I really wanted to maintain that 90 frames per second when I was racing. And so I just did some testing today and did like 1.3, then went to 1.5, and then I ended up at 1.8. It'll actually run it at 2.0, but if it's just a single race without AI, or if I'm on iRacing, if I'm not racing online, it'll stay a steady 90 if I'm just practicing by myself. But once you go online or add AI and all that stuff, it every now and again it'll drop down to 60. Never gets down to like 45, but it'll stay. You know, it'll drop from 90 to 60 every now and again, and you can tell when there's frame drops. I mean, it doesn't make the game unplayable really, but it's just, you can tell, and it's distracting enough to make it, you know, not worth it. So I backed it down to 1.8, and it didn't frame drop any at all online or with AI in a set of Corsa or race room or project cars too. With the AI, with the full field of AI, it never dropped below 90. And then when I was online on iRacing, it never dropped off of 90. So I think 1.8 is the sweet spot. You know, it looks as good as it's going to look, and still maintain my 90 frames per second. So I was pretty happy with that. That, you know, I did back to back. I set it to 1.8 and then turned it back down to 1, which is basically off, and there's a huge difference. Not so much in the screen door deal or anything like that, but just the jaggies, the smoother of the jaggies, and then objects that are a little bit off in the distance, you can see them clear now. Like I said, I mean, it's not the same as doing 2K monitor, you know, or anything like that, but it's a world of difference from standard setup. I don't remember which car this is. I think this is the Viper I'm running here. Yeah, so if anybody has any games that they played back in the day, you know, your first game that you played with the steering wheel, or the first game that got you involved with racing sims or any kind of racing game whatsoever, I'd not that I get enough viewers to get a ton of comments, but if anybody does view it, I'd be interested to see where everybody started. Like I said, this wasn't my first sim, but this was the first, sim, but first game, racing game, but it's the first one I used the steering wheel with. And so it's the one that I really remember the most. I remember playing NASCAR 4 and IndyCar, but I don't have quite the memories with those games as I do with this, because of the immersion deal with the wheel. And even once I started running the wheel on those games, it's not that it didn't add to the game, it's just I'd played the games for a year already, or like in the IndyCar, you know, it'd been 2 years or 3 years that I'd been playing it. So like I said, it still made a difference, but not quite the memories that I had with this. And actually, other than the graphics and modding the cars and getting, you know, bolt-on accessories for your cars and all that stuff, and the new Need for Speed, you can call me a liar all you want, but I still have more fun with this and the Need for Speed Special Edition than I do with a lot of the new ones. I mean, granted, they look a lot better, and I'm not going to say these games that I enjoy them more, but I definitely don't enjoy them any less than the new ones. And if you're watching this and you haven't seen the Super Bowl yet, that was a hell of a game. Uh, Spoiler alert, I'll give you a couple seconds if you don't know who won yet, if you recorded it or for whatever reason, but Philadelphia won a nail biter, so there you go. That was a heck of a game. And I'm from Pennsylvania, but I really didn't have a dog in that fight. I mean, I wanted Philadelphia to win just because I get tired of hearing Tom Brady's name and New England and all that, but I really didn't really matter to me either way, to be honest. I was just glad it was a good game. And it didn't, come down to some iffy call or, the refs getting involved with it. I think there's only 1 or 2 penalties in the whole game, I think. So they stayed out of it pretty good, and it was a good game. Well, this is the last race I ran, so ran out of things to talk about, so I'm gonna sign off here as far as my voice goes, and then you got 8 more laps of this glorious Need for Speed to watch if you want. Until next time, I'll see you then.